This is a Jmix exclusive.
Hey guys, what's up? Sorry for the delay. There's been a couple day delay. It's stuff has hit the fan last couple days, so it's been a bit trying. Did a reset on the old computer, had some driver issues, so we're coming to you tonight. Like I said previously, I'm going to read some comments on the live stream update, and then I'll get RJ. RJ will be on here in about 20 minutes. Let me actually remove something real quick. Alright, so like I was saying, I'm going to read some of the comments coming from the other video that I did, which was the promo yesterday. But before I get serious into this stream, I do want to say that my prayers and thoughts are with all the victims of Las Vegas and everybody affected by it. It's not just the people that were shot. There is also people who are family members and bystanders, and it's going to shape a lot of people's opinions, and people are gonna be scared to go in public places. And I just want everybody to know out there, if you've been affected by this, my thoughts and prayers are with you. That being said, I'm just going to check the live feed real quick, and then I'll get into the questions. RJ's going to be here in about 15 minutes. And of course I got to watch an ad to see my own damn live stream. That's hilarious. Alright, so everything seems to be streaming okay. So here we go. This live stream is called Who is Wayman Anderson and Why Should We Care? I've got some Wayman Anderson clips on YouTube. A couple of you guys have seen them, a couple thousand of you. And me and RJ Bomb, we're gonna play some clips from Steve Strong, and we're gonna talk about who Wayman Anderson is and where those conversations come from and how you can put that in context. But until then, I'm going to do as promised and go to my live stream update, which I posted yesterday with my crappy cell phone video, and I'm gonna start answering these. So I'm gonna start with the newest first. Adam Lee says, questions for you, Jmix. I think a lot of people forget what was really got the ball rolling in killing Pac was him firing David Kenner and Right Way Securities. From what I gather, Tupac was not a yes man to the high aboves. Pac must have been told all his life he was in danger too. And with him not complying with Jimmy Iovine, etc., for example, he was going to squash the beef with Biggie. He was going to make One Nation album, bring everyone together. Been seen as a political figure, social awareness, etc. This must have had Jimmy, etc., alarmed and thought enough is enough. Let's say I think the industry heads were involved with Tupac's death. Would you agree? No. No. As much as people would like to paint Jimmy as this nefarious individual, I don't think that he conspired with anyone to kill Tupac. I don't think that it would benefit Jimmy Iovine in the sense that it would benefit others like a Reggie Wright if they were to plot against Suge Knight, because Interscope is the parent company. Interscope gets the money no matter what. If Tupac would have went to another label and started Machiavelli Records, probably would have been under Interscope. He had that umbrella. If it went through Death Row, like some people have said that it was going to, then Jimmy Iovine stood to make the money anyway. I'm not by any means saying that Jimmy Iovine is some great guy, and I'm not saying he's even a good business guy. But in order for me to think that or make that assumption publicly, I would need to see some kind of proof of that. And all the years that I've done this, you can take this either way. Nobody's ever mentioned Jimmy Iovine. It's never really came up. That could be good or bad, but for the most part, I've had private conversations that have never made airwaves, and that's never really been a factor. So I would say, because there's a lot of comments on here, to get the ball rolling on this show, I would say no and not without evidence. So, Luke says, when will the video be released of the witness who was there when Tupac and Outlaws beat down Half Dead? You said it would be out last month. Why is RJ necessity? Necessity for the live stream. If you can't make it, then you can't go back doing it solo. Look, I do them solo. I like to have a conversation on here. Trying to get other people involved in the live stream is tough work when you have a set schedule live stream. Like I've been trying to get Gonzo on, and you know, we kind of miss. You know, it's something that these things you have to set up, and I know RJ, and he's very accessible. And you know what? I think he brings a lot to the show, and it sounds like I'm asking, but I'm not. I didn't say that video would be out last month. I said I was waiting for Controversy Radio to drop their piece. They are doing a very long piece on Snoop, Half Dead, the Pattons, the confession letter, the Reno incident, and they have been working on it for a couple months now. It should have been out, I believe, already. Shout out to Controversy Radio, Jesse and them. But they are taking a few more weeks, or it could be days at this point, to get everything squared away because they want to put out something that's right. You know, the one thing I'll say about Jesse and his wife, her name slips me at the moment, over at Controversy Radio, is they do their homework. And if they think that we're wrong, they're probably going to say that we're wrong. I don't believe they think that, but they're just trying to get it right. So I hope that answers that. Dre's gang affiliation. I can't comment on that. I don't know. I don't really think it matters with the Dr. Dre. And even when Dr. Dre was coming up, once NWA hit big, it didn't matter what his gang affiliation was. But if you want to try to analyze it, what I would say is Eazy-E and NWA, there was some heavy Crip involvement. So I would infer from all this, and just me guessing, would be that Dre had relationships with Crips. And if Dre had a problem at Death Row, you know, it's a fair assumption to make that maybe his friends and Suge's friends didn't get along. There's a video of someone who used to work at Death Row saying Tupac would have gone back to jail had he lived. I can't remember his name. Anyway, can you interview that guy? Luke, I don't know who you're talking about. But that's kind of a true statement that if he would have gone back to jail, he would have lived. I mean, if he lived, he'd gone back to jail. I think that's a fair assumption. He got into a fight on camera, so he was on an appellate bail. That would have revoked his bail, just like they revoked Suge's. So I think, to be honest with you, yeah, if Tupac would have survived, he probably would have had to go back to prison. It doesn't mean that he couldn't have got a different bail that was with maybe an ankle bracelet or something like Suge was on prior, but yeah, he probably would have went back to jail because he was on bail at the time. I can't, you know what, I'll answer the the William Lassay Sane interview. I've talked to him a couple times. I'm just going to keep it real. I don't really have any ill will against William. He's a very passionate guy, but he's a, you know, if I say something that William doesn't like, he will hold it against me. And that's on him. I've had mutual people. We have a third party friend who's friends with both of us, and we've been on the phone, and on the phone we didn't have any issues, but so far as William was saying coming on my show, I don't see it happening. I don't wish the guy no ill will, but he's not exactly a Jmix fan, we'll put it that way. Biz Money says, love the channel. Several questions. Of course. Guys, you got to keep this brief because, you know, I'm sure the 60 of you guys watching are, you guys don't care about these, but it's okay. I'll do as many as I can. Okay, so I have several questions. Saw a video where someone asked Kading why Orlando testified on Suge's behalf, and not only against him. Okay, I get the question already. So basically, you're asking me if Suge is so brave to have Biggie killed, that why didn't he do it to Orlando Anderson, and did he pay Orlando Anderson? All signs point to yes, that he paid Orlando Anderson. I firmly believe Suge saw who shot them, and I think that if Suge saw Orlando Anderson, then you're right. If Suge was this big bag killer, I think that Suge Knight would have had Orlando Anderson killed. There was plenty of murders after the shooting in Vegas, and if they knew that's who it was, it's awful funny he lived for 2 years after that. I mean, Biggie didn't even make it that long, and he lived on the other side of the country. So I think the answer in that is Greg Kading's own folly. I by no means do I think that Suge Knight is a reputable guy, has a good reputation, but I don't think that he's the stone cold killer that everybody makes him out to be. And this is typical with big dudes. It's one thing to instill fear into people, and it's a whole nother thing to bully people and use tactics and strong arm people, but that doesn't make you a murderer. Certain people, and I don't want to harken any street knowledge here, like, you know, I have some heavy street cred, but I know some people, and I grew up and I've seen it firsthand. You know, there's the guys that run the show, and then there's the guys that do the dirt. And I think just by who Suge surrounding himself with, that it was, you know, Suge having these guys do the dirt. So, long story short, I think that if it was Orlando Anderson, Suge would have had him killed. That way he doesn't testify. That way it's retaliation. But I think, you know, I think we've been pretty clear that, you know, the thing about murder rap is it's just, it doesn't stack up against itself. You know, one or two inconsistencies is one thing, but I mean, the whole book is a walking contradiction. And if you notice now, when it comes to the new features, TV shows, and documentaries, they don't talk about Puffy anymore. Greg's original book said that Puffy paid $1 million. Nobody talks about that anymore. Greg Kading doesn't go on TV and talk about that aspect of it anymore. And they've really dropped that aspect of it because of lawsuits, because of different things. But if that's your theory and that's what you believe, why aren't you saying it out loud on camera? And the answer to that is a very easy one. It's because this isn't about justice. Greg Kading isn't about justice. He doesn't care about justice. He cares about fame and money. And a lot of people throw the making money off Tupac at my YouTube channel, but they don't throw that at Greg, and I don't think that's fair. And you know what? I've never arrested anybody or oppressed a minority or played little tricky cop games and put anybody in prison. I would like to think that when I talk to people that I consider my peers, you guys, that you would cut me the benefit of that doubt. Because it's never been Jesse coming to your house wanting to know where so-and-so was to put him in prison. So, Don Machiavelli says, thanks, Jesse. And guys, here, about 15 minutes, RJ is going to be on. So, I said I'd read these, that's why I'm doing it. Thanks, Jesse. If you haven't already answered this, what is your and RJ's response to Kading's recent breaking silence in AJTV interview? P.S. I actually lecture in documentary filmmaking, and I'm still not sure that that interviewer is even legit. Seems like a parody. You know, Dan, just everybody knows that I'm not a fan of AG, but that's a great comment. When I heard of that interview and I was talking to a friend of mine about it, the first thing that a buddy of mine said was basically the same thing. Was, is the interview guy a joke? Was that a joke? And they were dead serious. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but I don't have a response for that directly right now, other than I don't believe anything Kading says. But I'll say this: if you guys watch the Fox special, he lawyered up when he had professionals looking at him and asking and wanting to ask him questions that had other witnesses like Reggie Wright involved. Greg Kading was a no-show. But he feels safe enough to go on YouTube to a safe place with a friend and have a conversation. That should speak volumes to people. It speaks volumes to me. So thanks for the comment, Dan. John, your question was, can I discuss the whole Daz and Snoop issue? I'll have to wait for RJ on that because this question, I read it earlier. It's basically based at RJ. Also, can I talk about the BS with all the people saying it was Snoop's idea to get Pac out of jail and bring him to death row? I've never heard that. I've never heard that. I have heard that Snoop actually did want Tupac on death row. I think it was Natasha Walker that told me that. That they wanted to get him on death row and they were all for it. But as far as Snoop's idea, no, it was Suge's idea. Because Suge was courting Tupac ever since the set of Above the Rim. That whole Birdie period of Tupac's life, he was being courted by Suge. And that's where we get the most money Tupac was ever paid for a soundtrack, for one song. It was something like, I've been told anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000 for one song. And they didn't even use it. And I think that that it was definitely Suge that wanted him on death row. For the people just tuning in, I'm answering a few of these questions that I said I would do on the promo, and we'll be on with RJ Bond and some Steve Strong video here in about 13 minutes. So I answered that the best I could, John. AJ says, what do you and Bond think about people saying the new documentary is a police car? The same thing I thought with the Fox documentary is it seems that people would like to rewrite history. And as Tupac fans, ask yourself this. How many shows, if you've been a Tupac fan more than 5 years, how different is the narrative about Tupac now than it was 5 years ago? Is it better? Do they treat Tupac with more respect? Those are open-ended questions, people. So, I mean, think of that what you will. I think that people like Ice-T, there's some kind of beef there. I don't think that Ice-T is a big Tupac fan. And we can tell this by the Drink Champs interview where Ice-T went on and talked about Hit 'Em Up. So there is a bit of history there. And, you know, rumors are, and I'll go ahead and let the rumors fly. The rumors are maybe there was something going on with Ice-T and Tupac and a female back in the day. Maybe there was some jealousy involved, but the people that I talk to have the feeling that Ice-T might have an axe to grind. And if Ice-T is so out of touch that he would bring Funk Flex onto the Fox special, there's something wrong. He shouldn't be involved. And if he did know about the beef, he shouldn't have brought on Funk Flex. And the one bullet thing, it's like a new magic bullet theory, but that goes back to my earlier answering of the question. So, the documents Kevin Hackey has, that's a question for RJ. RJ and Kevin Hackey know each other. I believe Kevin Hackey, the documents that I know that he has is his FBI interrogation. Kevin Hackey did a whole interrogation with several different types of law enforcement. Now those tapes are nowhere to be found, but Kevin Hackey has transcripts, and I believe that, if I had to guess, that those were the documents that he was willing to offer, because what those documents do is basically lay out what Kevin Hackey, being undercover at the time, was observing at Death Row Records. The archive says Machiavelli lives on. Tupac fooled you because that wasn't his real name. It was just to throw you off. If this isn't a live thing, I just don't believe it. So I'll just leave it there. There's a couple of live questions on here, and I'm just going to answer them in whole right now. Show me one credible piece of evidence that Tupac is still alive, and I'm going to grant you one. The Social Security index thing is kind of odd. I'll give guys that, and I'll give the quick cremation that. If those are good points, but bring me something else other than that. And I don't want Paige him as some random blonde on the strip that was being interviewed with millions of people walking around on the street. I don't want the helicopter theory. I want a tangible piece of evidence. Not a Casanova recording, not someone who sounds like Pac, not someone who says Coachella when they're talking about Coachella and some stupid recording. You know, if Tupac's gonna, in my opinion, if Tupac's gonna make himself known, he's not gonna do it with a crappy recording of him mispronouncing words. When Tupac got cremated so fast somebody got to take his teeth because you can't burn them too, that's not true. My dad was cremated and I've seen the cremains, and not everything burns, but there was no teeth and nobody removed them. Oh, I wanted to address this guy. Pretty sad that people believe it. This shit, truth hurts. First of all, buddy, you spelled that wrong. So if you're gonna come at me, bro, come at me with at least a basic understanding of the English language. But I'm gonna be honest, every debate I've heard, Kading is smashing and bitch slapping his arguments in every one. It's really embarrassing that people like this dude continue to make money and fake news. Fuck y'all. Well, I put out stuff that I verify. I talk to people, I put out those statements, I talk to people like RJ Bond, people like Randall Sullivan, people like Russell Poole. I've talked to Greg Kading, I've talked to Kathy Scott. I'm not on here with a camera in my face talking about Tupac. I put out interviews. I do the live show so, you know, I can interact with the audience because I have 25,000 subs almost, and I am trying to give something back. But as making money off of Tupac, that, you know what, I don't make money off of Tupac. And if I make money on this YouTube channel, it's because of the work that I do, the interviews I land, the editing I do, and the videos that I post. It doesn't matter what the talking point is. But I did respond to this guy. I said I didn't feel like that I won the debate. I released it to show you guys that they hid it for over 3 years, and there's a reason for that. There's more of that debate. There's about 45 minutes more of that debate. But I even say on that very upload that I didn't think that I won it. But you haven't heard all of it. And if you heard the end of it, you might not look at Greg Kading the same. And that's why Anton Beatty and Greg Kading tried to bury the interview, because they knew I didn't have the full recording. They could have put it up. It would have made me look bad. I had like 1,300 subs when that happened. He could have shut me down with that, and they didn't. And the reason that they didn't is because of what Greg Kading says in it. Could Suge get a change in venue? Like in the yeah, he could. He could get a change of venue, Gary Jones. But LA's demographics for jury selection favor Suge Knight. Suge Knight's taking this to trial. So I think that Suge Knight's best jury selection is in LA. Just because of the target demographics in, like the OJ trial. It was 9 black females that they had, and that kind of demographic is LA County. And his lawyers, you know, everybody in the country knows who Suge Knight is. So change of venue could get shot down for that reason, and his lawyers have a pretty good jury selection going on if he stays in LA County. So that's why I think they're not. Okay, Luciano, you said, why was Orlando Anderson not officially ruled out as a possible suspect if there was witnesses to him being at the bar? Also, where's the video footage? Well, you have to ask Las Vegas Metro Police where that video footage is. But he was officially ruled out as a possible suspect by the Las Vegas Metro Police Department because when Tim Brennan executed the search warrant in Compton, they handcuffed Orlando Anderson, and Vegas didn't want him. So if Vegas didn't want him, it's their murder. That to me rules him out as a possible suspect. That's my opinion. E.d.i lied to the police because Death Row would have found out about that, and that would have not been good. Okay, Ryan, that is a good point. But the type of lies that he tells, and what Ryan is referring to is the E.d.i video that's up, where E.d.i is on the Fox special saying this is what happened, and I show his police report where he gives a completely different statement. So Ryan, the thing about E.d.i lying is he lies in things that wouldn't have got him in trouble from Death Row Records. Because he says, I saw the car when it was pulling away. He gave a car description. So if he was not talking to the police, he wouldn't even give them that. He would have said, I didn't see anything. I just heard shots. So I say compare the statement with the show because it's two different things, and I don't think E.d.i was being threatened. Actually, Tupac, according to Fatal, told the Outlaws not to sign to Death Row. So E.d.i didn't have to answer to Death Row. He wasn't a Death Row employee, but you know, maybe he on a street level. But I doubt that. I think that's a stretch. And to AJ saying, are we willing to open the quite logical possibility that Tupac may have faked his own death, I will refer you back to my previous answer, which is I'll grant you the social security number and the timing of the cremation, but there's reasonable excuses for those or explanations. Give me one piece of evidence that isn't a Casanova the Don recording or Paige Hemis, some rando in Vegas. If you can give me a logical argument or a piece of tangible evidence, I would consider it, because a lot of people seem to think so. But if you see the pain and suffering that some of his family members, who I've met personally, have gone through, then you probably wouldn't think he was still alive anymore. Has Trevon... Okay, MAGA Pepe. It's weird that there's Pepe people on my videos, but hey, whatevs. Has Trevon Lane ever done an interview on camera about that night in Vegas? If not, could you interview him, providing he's still alive? Trevon Lane has never spoken publicly about it, but I know that the A&E show may have gotten Trevon Lane on camera. May have. I'm not 100% on that, but when I was talking to them last year, they said that perhaps that was a possibility. I know that DJ AG blew his chance because Risky was going to hook him up with Trevon Lane, but the deal was that if DJ AG interviewed Trevon Lane, he couldn't ask him about Tupac. And DJ AG threw a hissy fit. And to prove this, if you go to any of DJ AG's interviews with Risky, he doesn't even put Risky's name in the title because they don't like each other. Because DJ AG doesn't know how to play the game. Look, you get Trevon Lane on your interview, you ask him all the non-Tupac questions. Once you've got the interview and you've asked all your questions, that's when you throw out the hard ones. Because what's he going to do? Hang up? Well, then that gives you a hell of an interview, doesn't it? But he just played it wrong because, you know, he doesn't take it seriously. And, you know, I don't like him, he doesn't like me, but I'm not here to just talk bad about it. Oh, I see RJ's on there. What's up, RJ? I guess I am going to hit you up here in just a second. I tell you what, when I get off with RJ, I'll come back to the rest of these comments. Thank you, Katie Young, for this comment right here. But I want to say shout out to 313, and I recommend everybody go subscribe to his channel. I'm going to get RJ on the hook here, and we're going to see what's popping.
Yeah.